Hey everyone, it's Kirk McLean here, and you're watching Clay's Canucks Commentary.
Hey Canucks fans, and welcome to Clay's Canucks Commentary Live, presented to you by Vancity Experts Real Estate. I'm your host, Clay, Emo Canuck Clay, and this is my Canucks take, all in one take. It is Tuesday night, January the 28th. If you're new, here's what you should do. Hit the subscribe button now for daily Canucks insight that's positive, timely, and trustworthy. And I have a lot to say tonight. I'm in a great mood because I actually won my first bowling matches of the year with my highest game since November of 2022. Yes, over 2 years. So I'll get to that. And it's kind of like as good as when the Canucks win 2 consecutive games for the first time in 2 months. I had my highest bowling average in 2 years. And I got some really good news about Jacob. So let me do my intro. Then I'll spend 3 minutes on bowling. And then I will spend 10 to 50 minutes talking about Gary Mason and Ian McIntyre. And then I'll throw it to all of you. But tonight is the night where I have to cut it short at 11:45. No ifs, ands, or buts, because I have to be sitting in my church at midnight. So let's get going. Moderators, do what you need to do to keep this a safe and respectful place. Members, that's legends, Hall of Fame, and franchise members, thank you for your support. And to everyone else, no matter where you're watching from, whether my beautiful neighborhood of Steveston and Richmond, in the city, Lower Mainland, province, country, continent, around the world, thank you for being here. You know that I know that you could be watching anyone else, doing anything else, getting ready for work, school, or bed, or all three. But the fact that you are here with me, know how much I always appreciate you and how I never, ever take you for granted. So this is how you get involved tonight. You can subscribe to the channel so you get active in the chat section, get notified of my videos. You can like the video, like the fact that the Canucks have won 2 straight, like the fact that I bowled really well and won some points, won my matchup, like the fact that I'm going to, actually, I just realized I can't say anything publicly about what I was going to say, but I'll get to that in a second. And like the fact that there's never a dull moment with this Canucks team. And like I said in the poll question, vote. I said with today's news, today is not news, but today's interview article that broke from Gary Mason, the Globe and Mail, are you sick of the drama? Are you intrigued by the drama? Are you, what were my options, you guys? Sick of the drama, intrigued by the drama, wake me up when it's over. And there's one other one. Oh, I've come to accept all the drama. So yes, right now I'm sick of all the drama is winning, but a lot of time for you to vote. I'll keep that going for at least until the middle of the show. So like the video, helps me out. Appreciate you guys being here on a Tuesday night at 11 p.m. on a non-game night. You can leave a donation and get the donation train out of the station. You can gift a membership. You can buy a membership. You can upgrade your own membership. You can use your monthly membership message. And if listening on a podcast platform, make sure you rate and make sure that you review. Actually, on the podcast side, numbers are going up over the past month or so. So I appreciate anyone who's been listening on that side as well. Okay, quick 2 to 3 minute bowling update tonight. You guys know that my new team, we've had 2 losing weeks. And I am miscast as the middle bowler because our anchor, our captain is so good. He's the best bowler in the league this year, even better than my cousin Jordan, even better than my son Jacob. But he picked 2 basically leadoffs, and one of the leadoffs has to play a middle, and that's me right now. So I lost my first 2 weeks. I got skunked 4-0, 10-0, 10-0, 4 games plus total, all worth 2. So I lost 10-0, 10-0. And tonight I'm happy to tell you that I won 2 of the 4 games. So that's 4 points. Plus I won total. So I won 6 out of 10 points tonight. And our team won 36 points. Our leadoff won 8 of the 10. I won 6 of the 10. And our anchor won 6 of the 10. He was actually bowling against my cousin Jordan, who owns the pro shop. So 8, 6, and 6, that is 20. So we won 20 out of 30 individual points. And then we won 3 of the 4 games. So those are worth 4 each. So that's 12 points there. Plus we won total, which is another 4. So 16. So 20 individual points, 16 team points. If you follow the math, we won 36-14 tonight. And I bowled 147, lost, 196, won, 163, lost. And then my final game was a 227. Yes, I bowled a 227. That's my highest score since November 2022. And I was going to the final game losing to my opponent by 57 pins in total pinfall. And then I beat him by 70 or 80 pins. So it wasn't that close. I actually beat him by about 20 pins. So yes, was able to contribute, and therefore our team won 36 out of 50. I won 6 out of my 10 individual points. Okay, that's enough about, because we got a lot to talk about. So that's enough about my bowling. And I just realized I can't, as much I want to tell you guys, I don't think I can tell you until tomorrow about Jacob's news. But all I'll say, and you guys can probably put 2 and 2 together if you've been following his journey from what I say on here. He bowled in the national team trials, team TEAM, the national team trials for the first time this year as an adult, right? He the last 3 years he made the junior team, and we went to Peru, we went to Sweden, and we went to South Korea over the past 3 summers. And then he was competing with all the men. So he the top 6 men made it automatically, and then 4 of those top 6 men were pro bowlers. And then Team Canada is going to name 4 additional bowlers to round out their team. They don't necessarily take 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th place. So pretty soon on this channel, I'll be able to share some good news. How's that for basically telling you without actually saying it? Okay. Probably by tomorrow when it goes public, you'll see me share some good news, and then I'll be able to share it hopefully on this channel. Okay, thanks for letting me share that. But let's talk about the news of the day. So, Gary Mason of the Globe and Mail, he wrote an article, an interview with President of Hockey Operations Jim Rutherford. And basically, you guys all know the story right now, but in essence, Jim Rutherford talked about the fact that that they are still looking to trade either Miller and or Petey, because they've tried to work at the situation for years, and every time they make progress, it reverts back. And that's basically the bulk. That's what all the fuss is about. Now, people don't like the timing because the Canucks have just won 2 games in a row. But for anyone saying, why should this come out now? This is horrible timing. I will say this. You can't get swayed as much. Okay, I have so much to say. As much as I don't want Miller or Petey to be traded, because I'm very averse to conflict, or maybe you trade one of them to get the conflict out. I was of the mind, let's keep this group together and see if they can make a run towards a playoff spot. Calgary lost tonight, which is great, and maybe do some damage in the playoffs. My friends, all of that can be true. Yet, you can still make changes to this team, maybe not before the trade deadline, but maybe in the offseason. Miller gets traded. Maybe Petey gets traded. So both can be true. You can cheer for this team to stay together and make a run for a playoff position and in the playoffs, but this team could look drastically different maybe to start off next season. So for anyone saying, and I hear you, I'm not saying that you're wrong to think this, but for anyone saying, oh man, why did this have to come up now? This is the worst timing ever. I see some of you in the chat are saying it's to hold his players accountable. Like, there's a risk here, right? You could tick Miller and Petey off even more. You can make them even more mad than they already are right now. And they say, forget it. Why would I play for this team? They're dragging my name through the mud, through the media. Or it could have the opposite effect. It's not like Miller and Petey are playing so they don't get traded. They might want to get traded. Maybe they play because of personal pride. Maybe they play because they deep down, they're competitive. They're alpha males. That's what this issue is about. Maybe the rest of the team, instead of getting, being upset that this is all being aired in the public, maybe it just galvanizes them. Maybe, as Pastor Dan said, the players become more accountable. Not just Petey and Miller, but the entire team. Just maybe there was a method to Rutherford's madness. Am I giving him too much credit, you guys? Maybe there's no method to his madness. You might think this is just horrible timing. I thought that when this first came out, the article first came out, I said, what the heck? Why now? After we have won 2 games. And maybe this interview with Jim Rutherford was done actually yesterday, before they had won, because the article came out first thing this morning. So unless Gary Mason went to Jim Rutherford's house at or the office at 7 a.m, my guess is he had this chat with him yesterday. It's just my guess. Maybe some of you guys can confirm or deny this, but maybe the chat was done yesterday before the Canucks beat the Blues, honestly. Or maybe it was done over the weekend. We don't know. I don't think it said in the article when the actual interview was. But I will say, for anyone saying that this is bad timing, why now? I would say, A, I bet you the interview was done before last night's game, right? I think that's fair. And B, a 2 or 3 game win streak shouldn't change the overall big picture. It might change your immediate feeling of at least give this team a chance to work their way out of it. And I would agree with that. But I think you do have to look at the big picture. Oh, great. Michael, thank you. I just glanced in the comments, and Gary Mason was on Sekeres and Price, and I acknowledged that the interview was before the Blues game. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate that. So Gary Mason did go on the media tour today. He was on Sekeres and Price, and I watched that one. That was great. He was on Donnie and Dolly. He was there too. Haven't watched that one just yet. Haven't had time to, but he was making the rounds as well. Gary Mason is a Vancouver-based writer for the Globe and Mail, but he concentrates on politics and on news, but he still has a background in sports. So you might say, well, that's kind of surprising that Rutherford would open up to someone who he not met until this interview. Maybe we know Rutherford likes to shoot from the hip. As I said in my vlog today, Rutherford he's muzzled himself, because when he first came here, he was very open with the media, telling a lot. And then he realized that he was probably talking too much. And then he got Patrick Alvin to do a lot of the talking. So let me just recap a couple things he said, a couple nuances. If you've watched my vlog already, it'll be a bit of a repeat. Then I'll get to my mid-show sponsor read between 11:20 and 11:25, and really make sure that you have a chance to weigh in. I'm just reading some of your comments. If I start highlighting them, I'll never stop. So, but keep talking, you guys. It's awesome. I love the back and forth in the chat. It is amazing. All you guys and all your theories. But you're right. Michael must be about my age, because he's saying Mason was one of the really OG sports writers in this town. That is very fair. All right. Let me show you a couple of these quotes. Actually, let me do this first before we go into this, because then I can get this off the screen. I want to show you what happened in the NHL tonight, and just so we can kind of paint the bigger picture. Many of you guys know this already. I can do this really quickly. We're not doing a complete goal review or anything like that. But, excuse me, 8 games in the league tonight. Buffalo whips Boston. Winnipeg beats Montreal. Chicago surprises Tampa. None of these games make a difference to us. Hurricanes shut out the Rangers, so they're getting back to reality. Avalanche lose. I think they're 1-2 since the big trade now. They lose to the Islanders. This is the one we love. We love the fact that the Caps beat the Flames. That's awesome. Thank you, Capitals. Stars beat the Golden Knights. We're not worried about catching the Golden Knights, but really interesting. It looked like Mark Stone dove into Miro Heiskanen's leg, but Stone was actually tripped and he fell into Heiskanen's leg. It did not look good. His knee, we will see what happens. And then the Ducks beat the Sharks. So then what we care about is this. Calgary has burned their game in hand, and they're only 1 point ahead of us now. So I like the fact that they lost their game in hand. So instead of being 3 points ahead of the Canucks, they are now 1 point ahead. Remember, they're 3 points ahead with 1 or 2 games in hand. So the Canucks have closed that gap, and it's only a 1 point lead now. I'm truly not worried about St. Louis, because they're 4 behind with two more games played. And then you still have Utah, equal number of games played, but 5 points behind. So I've been talking about it's a 4-horse race: Calgary, Vancouver, St. Louis, and Utah. If everyone plays how they're supposed to play, I think it's going to be just a 2-horse race: Vancouver and Calgary. And I sure hope that the Canucks horse is faster than the Flames horse. Okay, I got to be careful how I say this guy's name. It's Buck Foston. You just got to reverse the B and the F, and you know what he's getting at. But Buck Foston, that's the last time I'm going to say his name, because I feel like I'm going to mess up very badly. He took some of the quotes from the the Jim Rutherford interview with Gary Mason because it was behind a paywall. So it's posted on the Globe and Mail. You have to pay $1 basically per week. A lot of people are too cheap to do that. So you either have people that kind of transcribe it for free. I also saw a Reddit post that someone just copy and pasted it, which is fine, but it's actually easier to read it this way. So here are some of the things that. So it started like this. Gary Mason said, I sat down with Canucks president Jim Rutherford. He had things to say about the untenable situation in which the team finds itself. Vancouver Canucks team president says there's no good solution in the rift between Elias Pettersson and JT Miller. No good solution. So that's what Gary Mason said. Hey, thank you, Justin, for the donation. I will highlight it in a few minutes, but thank you for doing that. So here's some quick quotes. I'll just read them one after the other. Rutherford, I felt like for a long time. Oh, no, actually, if I do like this, it's going to slow it down. So I'll just keep it on the main screen. I felt like for a long time there's a solution here because everyone had worked on it, including the parties involved. But it only gets resolved for a short period of time, and then it festers again. And so it certainly appears there's not a good solution that would keep this group together. We've had those conversations to put aside differences, and I think the parties understand that. And I think they've tried, as you know. Sometimes emotions get deep, and as much as people try, sometimes you can't get over it. It certainly appears that's what's going on here. A few more. When you're planning on peaking this team into a contending team, and then you find out that's not going to happen. Oh no, try this. When you don't have chemistry, it's hard to be consistent team because there's too much going on in the room for everybody to concentrate on what they're supposed to do. When you're planning on peaking this team and a contending team, and then you find out that's not going to happen, or at least not going to happen with the group we have now, then you have to put together a new plan. Rutherford and Alvin are not sure if removing Wonder or Pettersson will fix the problem. We don't know. We'll just have to wait to find out. We'll have to take it one step at a time. If we try and do it too fast, that's when you really make some mistakes. If we're going to completely start over, that means Quinn Hughes goes, and we'd like to figure out a way that he's here forever. I agree. If a center goes out of here, we have to get some kind of center back, but it's not going to be the same type of center going out. It might not even be a number 2 center, let alone a number 1 center. But you have to do the best with what you have until we figure out how to fill that spot back in. Okay. So there's a lot there, and basically the gist of it is that they've tried to work the situation out, and it keeps coming back to some sort of rift. And I've talked to my vlog today about a couple other things. Yeah, you're not going to get a 1C back. You might get a pick and a prospect and a player, and then you turn that into a very useful piece like Philip Hronek. So remember, Horvat was traded for Ratu, Beauvillier, and pick, and they used that pick to turn that into Philip Hronek. So you might not get immediate help, but you can 1 or 2 trades down the road, you might get help. Okay. So, and then the biggest thing is, of course, if Quinn Hughes would not accept a rebuild, and why would he? We got to sign him for $14-15 million, and keep him here forever. Thomas Strand suggesting Rutherford is firing a shot at ownership, that they need to make a trade via that article. So imagine Rutherford firing a shot at ownership. According to Friedman, Canucks were willing to do the Hedl first round pick and a prospect for JT Miller with the Rangers. Small bounty, but Canucks were willing to do it, and he thinks that was the lowest Canucks were willing to go. That's kind of interesting too. Rutherford on why they signed Pettersson and JT Miller ahead of the NHL trade deadline 1 year ago. Because these players are top players for us. If you have signed players and it doesn't work out, you're in a better position to get return for them. Okay, then get to this. Obviously, a lot of interest in my interview with Jim Rutherford. I mentioned that he said it was a possibility the 2 players could remain with the team for the rest of the season. Because of space, I couldn't include the full quote, but I think it's important to pass along. I asked him what happens if the team goes on a streak and starts winning regularly. He said, we evaluate things on a regular basis, so we'll see. When you win, everybody feels better. Does that make the players feel better? Does that make the 2 individuals feel better? Pettersson and Miller. All those factors play into the decision. We don't want to trade these players, but we may be very well forced to. So interesting. Here he says basically that he couldn't include this because of space, to which a lot of people said that's bull because it's an online article. I don't think the Globe and Mail is saying you can't put those 200 words in. Whatever. I actually like Gary Mason, and I liked his article. Some people just said he was just doing clickbait, trying to just stir up the fan base for no reason. Whatever. I mean, I shouldn't say whatever, but I don't agree with that. I think this is a legitimate piece. But it is kind of interesting that this is a very key point, because if you don't include that in the article, which he didn't, it totally skews one way, right? It totally skews one way. And then, but if he included these two paragraphs, then it actually brings it to a more, at least closer to neutral position, where he's saying, yeah, if we do start winning, go on a run, then maybe we don't trade one of these guys or explore it until the off season. So that's a very important thing. Finally, Ian McIntyre. So everyone Merrick was talking about this. Friedman was talking about this. Drager was talking about this. All the national guys are talking about this interview that Rutherford gives to Gary Mason. And then finally, Ian McIntyre did a follow-up piece with Jim Rutherford, basically talking about the fallout from the Globe and Mail piece. And who knows if Aquilini caught wind of it, whatever it may be. But basically, Rutherford to IMAC says, what I said, everyone knows it doesn't put Tocchet or the players in any different position. They've been dealing with it. This is nothing new to them. There's no reason for them to feel any different than they felt all along. What I have said now publicly, which pretty much everybody knew anyways, except no one would say it. Nothing has changed for the players because the players have dealt with this every day. So basically covering his butt a bit, saying, don't get mad at me. Don't shoot the messenger. All the players and coaches know about this already. Interesting. It says here, last two ones I'll show. Rutherford on the transparency, undermining Canucks management negotiating position on trades. I'm not worried about that, because if we trade one of these players, we will trade them when we decide to and when we get what we want. And if we don't, we won't trade one of them. Common sense. Okay, that's fair. And then finally, the last one I'll show you is Rutherford to IMAC. We'll deal with our team as normal as we can under these circumstances. And it's what I said earlier. If something makes sense for the Canucks in a trade, we'll take a look at it. And if it doesn't, the players will stay and continue to try to work through this situation. So what is really interesting, you guys, with this is it looks like Rutherford drops all these bombs. He chooses violence this morning in that, or whenever he did that article, that interview with Gary Mason. And then he was not backpedaling, but kind of Gary Mason was adding more context. Jim Rutherford was adding more context as the day went on, as this story got picked up, not only locally, but of course, nationally. So I wanted to share all of that with you. I'm sorry, I basically ignored everyone in the chat, but I wanted to get that out there so then I can do my mid-show sponsor read, which I'll do now. And then I'll spend a good 20 minutes answering your questions and reading some of your comments. So before I do that, I want to recognize Justin, who gets the donation train out of the station. Hall of Fame member Justin Credible, thank you. Let's give him some love as the goal horn plays. When Jim Rutherford and Alvin got hired, they were the saving face from the heel bending. Today, he did a heel turn to make fans media turn their attention to him so that the team can get back to being a face. Excellent, excellent point, Justin. This is kind of when a coach comes out and tries to, or a general manager. Brian Burke was famous for this. He would come out, he would call out the media, he would call out the other team, call out other players to take the attention away from his own team, especially when the team was playing poorly. Now, our team is turning things around, but I kind of agree with Justin here that Jim Rutherford, this is what I was saying, this could have been very intentional in that he's trying to take some of the attention in a weird sort of way from the, actually, the way we're always saying this out loud, it kind of doesn't make sense to me. Not Justin's point is fine, but I got to articulate it better. I think he is basically, he doesn't mind being the bad guy and he doesn't mind propping up his team as the good guy. And I think that's what Justin is getting at. Let's give Justin some love in the chat. Okay, a lot of people here, which is awesome. Let me do my mid-show sponsor read. And it always starts off by thanking my primary sponsor, Jason Lim of Van City Experts. Thank you to my channel sponsor, Jason Lim of Van City Experts Real Estate. At Van City Experts, their experience, knowledge, and expertise can serve you well in navigating through the real estate market and will help you to choose the best home or condo in the greater Vancouver area that best suits your and your family's needs. Thank you to my secondary sponsor, Coach Patrick Liu, weight loss coach. You can check him out at coachpatrickliu.com/clay and receive a free 5-day workout when you sign up. Thanks to Gassy Jet Artmaker, that fine artwork. Thank you to Vessi Footwear. Use the link tinyurl.com/VessiClay and receive a free pair of socks on your next purchase of Vessi shoes. Thanks to everyone who has purchased Canuck Clay merch. You can do so at canuckclay.threadless.com. Reminder, you can get involved in the show these ways. Subscribe, like the video, leave a donation like Justin has done. You can gift a membership, buy your own membership, upgrade your own membership, use your monthly membership message. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure you rate and review. And finally, don't forget my shows. Tomorrow, I have a CCC at 11 p.m. It will serve as a post-game. Canucks, obviously, I haven't talked about this yet. They're in Nashville. Kind of talked about it last night. And then members only on Thursday night. So Hall of Fame, franchise, and of course legends, you're all invited to the members live stream on Thursday night. Sorry, I'm going at 100 miles an hour. At least I think I'm able to do that. It's a good test for my mouth, my brain. Try and be as articulate as I can. Try and get as many of you involved as I can. There's 250 people in here, 125 from YouTube, another 125 from X. So thank you. And this is the one night where I do have to cut it off at 11:45. So I got 20 minutes. Let's go right now. Questions from here. Did Rutherford just admit he doesn't expect the Canucks to win the Cup with all the drama this season? Not sure if that's what he said, but I think realistically, we got to look at where we are in the standings and where we are just in our trajectory. And it's not great right now. Hello, Trev. I hope you had a good show tonight. I saw you had Mr. Doodle Hockey on. That is awesome. You think management regrets choosing Miller over Horvat in hindsight? Derek, it's so hard to talk in hindsight because Horvat hasn't lit it up in the Islanders. Would he have had Horvat's voice grown stale in the locker room? Would Hughes evolve to the captain that he is if Horvat is still here? So it's fine to wonder that. I don't know. It's so tough to say. Thank you, Dan. I trust that Trev did great tonight. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Are we in for dark times? I'm not willing to go there yet, Swerve and Irvin. What I am willing to say is this next move is so fundamental to the future of the Canucks. And yes, they got to worry about Besser and Lankinen and Demko and Hughes' new contract, all these things. But what they choose to do with either Miller and or PD is going to basically set this franchise up for success or failure. You can't rush into this decision. That's why this story has gone on for the last 2 months. RP says he's not giving up. He's saying he's being realistic on how the team looks now, not a competitor with the way we're playing. By the way, I asked you guys to vote. The majority, 53% of you are saying, I'm sick of the drama. 18% of you saying, wake me up when something happens. 17% says, I've come to accept the drama. And 10% of you actually said, I'm actually intrigued by the drama. So more than half of you are saying you're sick of it. The rest of you are either indifferent or actually like it. Tyler says, we'll make the playoffs, but may not last that long. Dark times is the default state. PD should have been a hurricane for his own good. Do you see an all-out rebuild as possible? Trade both and Besser, then go for DuPont in 2 years. No, I do not think management, I do not think players, I do not think the fan base will accept a full rebuild. We kind of half rebuilt, half retooled over the past 5 years, and we're supposed to start reaping the benefits starting with last season. Were you surprised Rutherford mentioned about having to let go of Hughes if we rebuild? I assume trade to New Jersey for Nemec. Who knows? But no, I wasn't surprised at all. I think he's not going to insult the fans' intelligence. And we, on this community, we are smart enough to recognize, we've talked about it on this channel before, that what you do here, how this franchise is moving, is going to severely alter the way you can negotiate with Quinn Hughes. As good of a player that Hughes is, does he need to be more of an alpha? I don't think so. Everyone leads in different ways, Irvin. And imagine if he's an alpha, Miller's an alpha, PD's a quiet alpha. That's a lot of alpha. That's a lot of alpha. I think Hughes is coming into his own, and we've heard guys, they respect him, and he just kind of leads a bit more quietly. Do you think management is to blame for not acting earlier to address the drama, or do you think they tried their best to resolve matters that occurred? A bit of column A, a bit of column B. I definitely think that they could have just pulled an ultimatum much earlier and sat the two guys down, almost like kids, right? Little kids, sitting them down with their parents, i.e. their agents. But I do think the other thing is, I think they've tried. I think they've really tried, but they refuse to get ripped off in a trade. So challenging. Honorable James Moore, if we beat Nashville, then beat Dallas without Heiskanen and have 4-game heater coming up home versus Detroit, people will have short memories of this. Winning solves all until the offseason. Well said. Well said. Do you think JR did this to cause the media to lay the blame at Miller's feet and make it miserable for him that he waives his no movement clause and accepts trade? No, because I'm not convinced that they're convinced that Miller is the one that needs to go. So I think that's a good conspiracy theory, or that's good connecting the dots, but I don't particularly believe that. You'd think that the Canucks have untalented bums for trade. Would you say Rutherford did this to prepare the fans for something probably underwhelming? The whole 49 thing is making you sleep. Skytrain Alpha, great point. I'm in a WhatsApp chat with all the guys in my hockey pool, and a couple of them suggested this, that Rutherford is kind of planting the seeds for a move. So a move that might be underwhelming. But fans can kind of see where he's coming from. Alfred, that's exactly the point that a couple of my friends made in our hockey group chat today. Rebeauty equals buy Hughes. I agree. Do you think the article backfires and poisons any attempt at good value for potential trade? Does Alvin have to rein in Rutherford? No, I don't think so. Rutherford is Alvin's boss, not the other way around. And I heard some people talk about this. Everyone knows that the Canucks situation. So I don't think you are further devaluing PD or Miller. I don't think you are worsening your trade position anymore from this article. I think it's already as low as it can be. With how frustrating this team is this season, have you spent less time on social than you have before? For me, I've been reading more and other YouTube content as well. I don't watch a lot of other creators. I don't have time to do that based on what else I have going on in my life. I wish I could, but I simply don't. When it comes to social, yeah, I'm less active on Twitter for sure. And I don't really use Instagram and Facebook for Canuck stuff. So yeah, I think but it's not because of the drama. I actually go on social to stay abreast of what's going on. I think just the stage of my life, I'm trying to be more efficient. So maybe less time on social and then more time focusing on my shows and my videos to the detriment of watching other creators. I maybe is the way I put it. No problem, Shannon. No need to apologize. Please rest up. That's more important. More important than watching some guy blab for 45 minutes. As long as Quinn Hughes lives and breathes the air in Vancouver, the Canucks cannot do rebuild. Amen. That if we lose Hughes, they're out on Canucks fandom. That's fair. That's fair. Do you think Tocchet is going to ride with the current D pairings until something goes sour? Be very interesting to see what happens when Noah Juleson is fully healthy, because I know Tocchet likes Juleson, but it's kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I could see him riding with this for a bit. Why would Hughes even want to stay? Exactly. If they trade Petey, Andrew Miller, and clear enough cap space, would they take a run at Rantanen? Yeah, but would Rantanen want to sign here? Would he want to sign here? If look at all the drama, right? I don't know. I don't see that being a path. How much is Pearson and Horvat holding people together for it to fall apart this easy? Yeah, are you saying you're surprised it's falling apart, or are you saying it's a knock on their leadership that it has fallen apart, or are you saying because they're gone, you're affirming their leadership because they're gone, it's falling apart? Pearson was a calming veteran voice. I could see that. I could totally see that. Had a good season without Pearson and Horvat. That's fair. Miller for Stankoven or Petey for Cousins, Power, and Benson. I don't think Buffalo trades Owen Power, to be honest with you. What do you believe the issue is between Petey and Miller? Just a personality difference? We all work with people we don't like, I'm sure. Oh, definitely. Well, hopefully none of my coworkers are reading this. I have some theories that I don't want to share on here because I'll just get in trouble. There will be no good of me sharing on here. Maybe I'll do it on a member stream on Thursday. We'll see. The safe thing to say is, yeah, just two different personalities. And we heard about the clash in practice in October, a bit of a scuffle, Miller calling Petey a baby. So without telling you what my salacious theory is, I do think, because that doesn't do anyone any good, I do think that probably Miller is a bit harder on Petey, maybe harsher with his words, and whether you think that that's crossing the line or that Petey should toughen up and suck it up. I think that's a little bit to do with it. Coming from multiple decades, I'm not sure what we're talking about now. Owners, enough said. Just don't get ripped off in a trade. Do not trade unless it makes sense for our Canucks present or future. Totally fair. Good point. Which veteran D-man out there do you think they could realistically pick up by the trade deadline? Maybe someone known to have good leadership in the locker room. Yeah, I think Myers is a good leader. Hughes is a good leader. Maybe Derek Forbert is a good leader. Like, some of those defensemen usually are good leaders. I don't know what veteran D-man is out there that would be worth it from a salary. I always said Rasmus Anderson. I know he doesn't like the Canucks, and I know he doesn't. He just says that. I know that's the team we're battling with, so I think that's more of a pipe dream. I have to think about this one, to be honest with you. Rank the dramas: Burry's contract, Messier takeover, Luongo Heritage, Millerson. I go the Messier takeover because that was years that resulted in Linden getting booted. Longo Heritage second because that resulted in Longo getting traded. Then I go Millerson, and then I go Bure. Why is JT Miller and PD's answers with their... Why is JT Miller and PD answers with there is no existing feud, but Rutherford's answer so conflicting? Oh, okay. I hear what you're saying, Susan, because Miller and PD, it's so much easier to deny it than to have to answer to it. Yes, I believe Eklund's not happy. No need to rebuild, retool instead. Miller holds all the keys to the trade. That's why I don't think he gets traded. But if JT does get traded, it'll be in the summer. Agree, and agree. Remember when JT said we can bring PD out right here to chat? Yeah, that was funny. I would love to see that. Have Jim Ross mediate. Slobberknocker. Natchez would look good in Canuck Uni. I agree. No one wants to sign here. Yeah, this doesn't do well with... Well, we did well free agency this year, but I don't know what happens going forward. Pastor Dan, I might need to come to you for some spiritual healing. You're in trouble already. Just go for it. And Adrian says, write an article. Darren, dumb decision by Rutherford to reveal his thoughts to Gary Mason. Even if the interview was done before St. Louis game, they don't need this distraction. Players are sick of this, just like the fans are. That's a fair take. I don't necessarily agree, but that's a fair take. I think management misjudged the importance of a veteran voice in the room. They would be resolved if Tanev was here. That's fair. Natchez would be, I like him a lot. PD's too soft. Miller hard or PD soft? I say the latter. Okay, that's fair. When the rebuild happens in a few years, I'll hop off the bandwagon until we are good again. That's fair. I don't know. A lot of the times the quiet ones stir up the trouble. EP is soft. PD is also younger than Miller. Miller in his 30s. PD is mid-20s. Yeah, it's 5-year difference. Lifestyle is different. Miller, PD not married. Miller married with kids and different priorities. Yep. But still got to perform and do well on the ice. I will say this. My cousin actually sat at PD's table at Dyson Ice and said PD wasn't very engaging. He said his girlfriend was more engaging than PD was. Crazy 4 days, lost my grandmother on Friday, been with a lot of family since then, found some time to come in here. Always nice to listen to some Canucks talk. Ricky, please accept my condolences. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to my prayer hour in 25 minutes. We might not share the same faith, but I know you'd appreciate the fact that I will pray for the repose of the soul of your grandmother and for you and your parents and for your family as you grieve. Thank you for being here, Ricky, and thanks for sharing that, for your trust. Can we just be focused on what we're doing on the ice and not off the ice? If we win tomorrow, we'll return to a playoff spot. Okay, that's fair. And I would love to be talking about a win tomorrow night. There'll be players willing to sign here to play with Hughes. That's fair. Do we look for a trade with the Sens, Stars, Buffalo, or New York? Does Detroit also make sense? Depends what they're offering, Spartan. I think they're willing to talk to anyone. But then Miller has a no move, so you ask him to waive. He's got to agree to go to the team that you're trading him to. That's what makes it another thing that makes it difficult. I know that they were talking about inside trading on TSN, the situation. Simon, I've been talking about this situation for the past half an hour. I'm not sure what else I can add specifically to your question. That's what I'm doing here. I'm talking about the situation. Swervin Irvin, thank you for the donation. Let's give Swervin Irvin some love in the chat. Says, sorry for your loss to Ricky, and we all echo those sentiments. Thank you. Let's give some love to Swervin Irvin in the chat for the donation. Indigo, do you think PD is still injured? I do. I know Parker on Canucks After Dark, he definitely thinks he is. But yeah, the data on his speed burst or lack thereof, I think it points to the fact that he is still battling injury. But you can tell from the end of last season that Rick Tocchet will not hear any of that in public. No problem, Ricky. And I love how everyone is showing their support to you. EB40 is simply more of an introvert. That's all. Quiet type, but he needs to let his on-ice presence speak on his behalf. He's not speaking vocally. I think that's a really good point, Victor. That, yeah, he doesn't have to be as gregarious, as loud. We know that he's good at English, but it's not his first language. So sometimes he doesn't find the right words to express what he's feeling. But yeah, if he does more on the ice, then we don't care how much he talks, right? January isn't a kind month to people. Yes, I know Edmund has battled loss as well. I believe in Joe Henry, Dan. This is exactly why the players shouldn't be reading articles on the team. It could bug them more. Yeah, but even if they don't read them, I'm sure they have people in their ears for sure. I don't know. Sherwood has not left Vancouver yet, so don't expect him And the fact that the Canucks called Atu Ratu up suggests to me that they might make a change, either Sasson maybe or someone, but that Joshua is probably not ready just yet either. Unless they bring in Joshua and Ratu for 2 other guys, like you bring out a Sasson and a Carlson. I don't know. Great point. Unsung hero last game, I'd say Tyler Myers. Like Lankinen's always sung, Garland's always sung, Hughes has always sung, JT Miller's always sung. I would say Tyler Myers. We need the tribal chief, says Tyler. How much of a decision of who they trade also involved Tocchet's opinion? Miller seems more like a Tocchet type player, for sure. You can tell that it's like Tocchet's his dad sometimes. I think they will certainly go to Tocchet for his opinion. Do you think Tocchet will re-sign to coach the Canucks if management keep PD over Miller? I've expressed my opinion. I think that PD is scared of Tocchet in some way. I don't know if that's justified or not, but I don't think them trading Miller over PD is going to affect whether or not Tocchet stays. I think you can be attached to players, you can have favorites, but I don't know if he bases his coaching decision on coming back based on that. He might, but I don't know. You think PD will get surgery on his knee? I don't know how bad it is. I don't think so. I don't know. Can you get surgery for tendonitis? I haven't heard this, that Demko wants out. I haven't heard that. They brought up Ratu. Yes, they did. We need Rock'em Basham Joshua back. Yeah. We actually did not win the hit count against St. Louis because we don't have Sherwood and Joshua. I feel like Hughes and PD should skip the 4 Nations and heal up. I don't want to see them or Miller get more unnecessary injuries. It'll be interesting to see if more guys sit out. I like that this management won't make a deal just for the sake of it. The return has to make sense for the plan. I think they still want to contend. Yes, I agree. Do you think the Hito, Lindgren, and pick was enough for Miller, given that we get this drama all the way too? I don't think it's enough, but I heard that the Canucks were close to it until the Rangers asked the Canucks to retain some salary. Loose lips sink ships. Rutherford should have kept quiet. That is fair. Yeah, it's like the Titanic when Rutherford speaks. Sasson a good run, but it's time for him to go back to Abbey and work on his game. Yeah, he was good. He's been good. Would I sign Ian Cole? Depends what he wants, but he was good too. I do feel media isn't helping with continuing to bring up the drama. Last year when we were winning, no one talked about the issues. It's only because we aren't doing well. It makes it interesting. Yeah, but some media, yeah, I get why some media would say it's not us. We're just reporting on the story and we're not perpetuating it. I guess that's a matter of opinion. I tend not to blame the media, not because I'm trying to win favor with them or I think I'm one of them. I just think it was going to happen anyway. Loser leave town, loser leave the Canucks. Love it. Love it. Miller versus PD. U.S. Sweden opening face-off. Team isn't as aggressive. And that's it. It's 11:45. I need to get going. So thank you, everyone. Big show tonight, even though I only went for 45 minutes. Thank you. I do have to do a quick wrap-up. So moderators, thank you for keeping this a safe and respectful place. Members, that's Legends, Hall of Fame franchise members, thanks for your support. Don't forget my members only live stream on Thursday night. And to everyone else, thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing. Please like the video. Please subscribe on your way out, and you can leave a donation if you'd like to. Thanks to Advanced City Experts Real Estate and Coach Patrick Liu, weight loss coach. And thank you to those of you who went above and beyond tonight. That was Justin, Hall of Fame member Justin with a $10 donation, and franchise member Swervin Irvin with a $3 donation. Appreciate you guys. I appreciate all of you for watching. My next show is 11 p.m. tomorrow. Canucks versus Nashville. We will see if any of this drama makes a difference on the ice as the Canucks go for a third straight win. Thanks everyone for being here. I really appreciate you guys. And I hope to see you tomorrow night at 11 p.m. Don't forget to rate my bad joke on the way out. My friends, you're the best. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. By the way, today at the bank, a nice elderly lady asked me to help her check her balance. Yes. So I pushed her over. God bless. And go Canucks go. I'm a jerk. Booyah.